What the heck is up, you guys? It's your boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes, here back with another video for you, and this is basically the follow-up to my top 10 action figures of 2022 list that I just dropped yesterday. Now, where we talk about the good, we also have to talk about the bad. Now, granted, I was only able to come up with 5 disappointing figures, and that says a lot considering how many figures we got last year. I mean, there was a ton. And so 5 is not bad at all. I would actually go as far as to say that it was a great year for action figures. But like I said, we gotta call out the bad as well. And you guys know how these videos work. Go ahead and drop a like for your boy so we can get right into it. And let's get to our number 5. Now, coming in at number 5 is none other than the SH Figuarts Doctor Strange from the Multiverse of Madness. Now, this wasn't a particularly bad figure per se, but it definitely wasn't a good figure. It was enjoyable on the posability side. I think it had a tad bit more movement than the previous Doctor Strange figures we had gotten, but coming off of my personal hype with the Infinity War version that they dropped with all the crazy accessories that just looked really dang good, moving on to this was a bit of a letdown because other than the articulation, this figure does not compete with the previous version at all, which is weird because SH Figuarts is usually known for making things better the second time around or the third time around, maybe even the fourth in terms of making a Doctor Strange MCU figure. I'm not entirely sure, but the accessories were a tad bit lackluster. I mean, you do get the things that he utilized in the movie, so I'm not going to complain about that. The 3D printing on the face was probably one of the worst things about it because it didn't look as good as the previous figure. Once again, SHF usually gets better the more they release something, so how the face sculpt on this guy was a major letdown in comparison to the last version, I don't know. But the main thing that was wrong with this figure was the cape. I don't know who came up with the engineering idea for this cape, deciding, okay, well, let's make it removable, which it was. He took it off in the movie a couple of times, but Jesus, man, this figure does not look nearly as good with the cape on as it does in the promo images. This thing was just a nightmare, and honestly, I found more joy posing it around without the cape, just because the cape was almost like a distraction. But overall, it's not a bad figure. Again, it's just one that it didn't live up to par with what I was hoping for. Coming in at number 4 is none other than the Marvel Legends Future Foundation SpiderMan figure. Now, if you guys watch my top 10 video, then you will know I said I really love the black and white look for Spider-Man. I just personally enjoy that look in the costume. So when this went up for pre-order, I was ecstatic, yo. I was one of the first people to hop on Hasbro Pulse and pre-order this guy. I was really looking forward to this figure. And then it released. Thankfully, 100 different people got this figure before I did, and I was able to cancel my pre-order because this thing right here was just absolutely atrocious. First of all, the pins. I'm not one who really cares about the pins and the figures, but when you don't paint the pins and you have black over what needs to be white or white over what needs to be black, that automatically looks ugly. But then on top of the fact that the paint scheme on this guy was already terrible, I saw so many bad paint jobs on this figure that it was just ridiculous, man. It was almost like the painters of this figure didn't care. Some of them just looked like deliberate mistakes, if that even makes any sense. That's super contradictory, but you guys get what I'm saying. This figure just looked really damn bad, man. Some people were complaining about the buck. I don't know that I really had an issue with that per se because I didn't really get to experience this figure. It is on super clearance at my Target right now, and I still have refused to pick it up. But just overall, from what I heard, this was a complete letdown of a figure. But what really upset me the most, despite the paint scheme, that was terrible, but the fact that it has the gummy joints issue. Now, I don't know if you guys saw one of my live streams that I did with X-Manny, but my first retro symbiote Spider-Man broke on camera. And so I'm terrified of gummy joints now. knowing that this figure had that same issue immediately turned me away from it. And so this is one I really like the look of this costume, but it just has too many disappointing factors and I had to leave it alone. Next up at number 3 is the Marvel Legends Retro Wave SpiderMan Hobgoblin. And if you want to know why this figure is bad, just look at the picture. that really speaks volumes for itself. This thing, I'll be honest, I had some fun with it. I picked this one up, but the only reason I did is because I want a complete collection of Spider-Man villains. That's the only reason I bought this figure. But getting it in hand, this figure was just bad, man. First off, the paint scheme. Now, I know a lot of people have said, oh, it's based off of the animated series. It's completely inaccurate. The blues are way too dark. The yellowish color in the costume is more of an orange on this figure. The face looks bad. It doesn't have any of the black line detailing above his eyebrows. And then we're not even going to talk about how bad the eyes are. There's no slits for the eyes. It's just red eyes. This figure is just bad. Honestly, they could have just re-released the Build-A-Figure in a single cart with the same paint scheme and it would have been a better looking figure. Now, that doesn't even get into the other issues this figure has. The accessories suck, but we're not going to talk about that. Again, with the gummy joints, man. All I did was sit this figure on my shelf. It just stood up. Whenever I wasn't posing it around, it was just standing there. And somehow my leg is completely warped, bro. And I don't know what's up with Hasbro and their warped leg system. I've heard that's why they got rid of the pins, but it was just awful, man. Like, we should have just gotten a completely different Hobgoblin. Again, I did have some fun with this figure posing it around, but he's never the centerpiece of any of my photography. This is one where if you're willing to wait for another Hobgoblin, please do, man. This figure is just bad. It's just not good, seriously. Number 2 is a figure that I absolutely cannot believe I'm adding to this list because I didn't want to, man. The SH Figuarts, the Batman action figure. Now, if you guys know, The Batman was my favorite movie of 2022. It's the most comic book accurate Batman movie, period. Whether you like the actor Robert Pattinson or not, Gotham City was the most Gotham it has ever been in terms of bringing comics to life. This was the Batman movie, whether you like the actor or not. Personally, I really enjoyed him as Batman, and so I wanted this in figure form immediately. Now, obviously, the McFarlane is going to be trash, but when they put this up for pre-order, a lot of people looked at it and they already began voicing their complaints. But me being optimistic, I was like, no, SHF is going to fix all of the problems that it looks like this figure has in the promo images. And I really held my breath on that, only for them to drop this figure with every single issue that the action figure community voiced. And God, did it hurt, man, because I am the biggest Batman fan, yo. The biggest Batman fan. And if you've been following me for a while, you know it. Getting this figure, and if you watch my review, it just hurt, bro. I wanted this to be a good figure. I wanted this to be solid. I at least wanted it to be enough to hold me till the Mafex dropped. But it just didn't do it, man. Unfortunately, this figure did not work for me at all. The accessories and everything were decent. The head sculpt, not the best. The sculpt work was all there, but the proportions were off. The cape was just horrendous. It was limited in articulation. The figure felt extremely stiff. Every time I posed this around, it just felt like something was going to break, man. And it tore me apart, yo. This was a figure I really wanted to keep in my collection, but due to all the issues and inconsistencies and just quality control problems, I had to let it go. And to this day, man, it sucks because I still want this figure back. It's almost like a drug that I know I need to get away from, but I really enjoy the way it makes me feel until I've utilized it and I realize, man, I messed up. So for a $90 price point, this figure is just not good, man. Not good at all. SHF, I really hope that in the future they re-release this because it's necessary, man. You can't do this bad on Batman. He's too popular of a character, and again, it hurt. Now, if you watched the video this far, then I'm sure you guys already know what number one on this list is. If you've been watching my channel at all, I'm sure you guys know what number one is. Now, in case you don't, we about to get started. Calling Figma to the building. Yes, Figma, Max Factory, get in here and sit down. We gotta talk. Because the number one most disappointing figure of 2022 was none other than the Figma Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Akaza figure. Yes, that's correct. This figure was just absolutely awful, man. There's literally almost nothing good I can say about this figure other than the fact that it looked decent. That's it. That's literally it. But that's not even anything, because Figma is known for making generally good looking figures, but a lot of the time their stuff is lackluster. But this right here was just terrible, man. And coming off of one of their best releases ever, the Figma Rengoku, how was Akaza this bad? What are you talking about, Ace? Tell me why it's bad. Did you not watch my review? If you didn't, I'll break it down really quickly. First off, this figure's $90, comes with absolutely no accessories. Akaza is a fighter, bro. They could have threw in all kinds of brawling accessories, all kind of energy effects, anything to make this figure pop. They went all out with the rest of the Demon Slayer figures, and for this guy, we got nothing. Well, what else? You can get accessories from other figures. The articulation was straight trash, bro. Akaza's the most agile character in all of Demon Slayer, and my boy can barely bend his knees. This man's knees bend like a 90-year-old woman hopping out of bed in the morning. And then what is up with this base, yo? For his deadly stance, a big hunk of useless plastic, bro. This figure pisses me off. Not only because of how bad it is, but because of the fact that this thing was $100. Figma, y'all done lost y'all damn mind, bro. And Figma tards, I'm sorry. This figure sucks, bro. Like, I don't care if y'all get upset about this. I don't care if you... Well, it looks decent. It looks decent. That's it. That's it. This figure was just bad, yo. Like, when I say bad, it's bad. Terrible. We gonna upgrade it. This figure was terrible, man. I'm getting pissed thinking about it. And I wasn't even trying to turn this into a rant, but I'm just mad that I spent that money, yo. I sold it, but it still pisses me off. Like, this figure's gonna haunt me forever. This was just... If you got this figure, I'm sorry. That's all I can say for you. I'm sorry. But you can sell it because I see it's going for like 120 on eBay and stuff. So, yeah, get your money back. That's all I can say about this one. Please get this out of your collection. Now, I was totally not trying to turn this video into a rant, but you guys know that one person who you dislike so strongly that if you see him in person, it's on sight. That's how I feel about the Figma Akaza. If I ever see that figure again, it's on sight. Like, I gotta break it. I have to. But I don't know. I just hated that figure, yo. But anyway, here we are with my top 5 most disappointing figures of 2022. I don't think I'm gonna make any more of these unless there's something that you guys asked for in particular. But I do want to know what you guys think. Did you guys have any figures that absolutely disappointed you last year? If so, leave a couple of them down in the comment section below so that I can see what your choices are. But overall, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That always helps me out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. And lastly, follow me on everything you see listed in the description below to keep up with my activity outside of YouTube. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe wherever you are, and bye.